Well, welcome back to the Old Fly Guy Network. Today we're in Richmond, Virginia, and we're visiting the Virginia Science Museum. And we came up here for a couple of reasons. The first being you can't see enough SR-71 Blackbirds. There's one in the background here. We want to come up and take a look at that. I also wanted to use this opportunity to introduce the next episode that we are doing around the SR-71 program. Up to this point, we've done 4 full-length episodes around the teammates and the different aspects of the SR-71 program. The first episode was around the pilots and the need for speed and how speed played such an important role in the program. The second episode was around the trainers and how the trainers took their flying experience and paid it forward to get future pilots ready for the SR-71 cockpit. And the third episode was about the maintenance and technology side of the aircraft. As they said, the pilots got to fly the aircraft, but the maintenance team owned it. And by the way, Robbie, thanks so much for the tie. I wear it every chance I can. And then the fourth episode was about the operations team. And that's where we heard about what happened behind the scenes in the planning and the preparation and the coordination between agencies and countries and the pilots and their crews to make every mission very successful. So what we thought we'd do is take those 4 episodes and do a little highlight reel of each episode and put that all together so you get a feel for what the entire conversation looked and sounded like. I also want to give a big shout out to Amy Johns and Mackenzie Cartwright of the Strategic Air Command and Aerospace Museum there in Omaha. They did a great job of pulling this all together and making sure it just went off without a hitch. I know I enjoyed it, and all the SR-71 team members really enjoyed the experience and couldn't say enough about how well it was done. So thanks so much to you. So let's go ahead and take a look at that highlight reels. We'll also get a peek at what Amy had to say at the end of the discussion. And so take a look. Hope you'll enjoy. As always, hope you'll subscribe to the network and enjoy this next segment. Roll the tape. Flying the SR-71 was not just all about stick and rudder skills, but it had to be a test of human endurance, precision, and a good bit of trust in the unknown. These pilots held the line on the Cold War without ever firing a shot and did it in the fastest plane ever flown.
One day I was standing out when I was about 12 years old, and I saw a B-36 fly over. Now, a B-36 was a huge airplane, and it made a lot of noise. And I looked up and I thought, you know, that might be fun. Up until that point, I wanted to be a train engineer, but I changed my mind.
That was quite a change.
Yeah.
ROTC, I really had my eye on the SR-71 Blackbird. I really wanted to fly the Blackbird someday. And amazingly, I was chosen. I was selected to be an SR-71 pilot, and I flew the SR-71 for 6 years, accumulated 785 hours. And just absolutely love flying the airplane.
So the airplane does fly very fast. Someone asked, what does it take to set a speed record? And I said, a really fast airplane. So it is not a yank and bank airplane. It doesn't fly. It's sensitive like a fighter, but you don't fly it like a fighter.
But one of the things I enjoyed maybe even more than the speed was the altitude. At 80,000 feet, we're above 97% of the air molecules. You can see the slight curvature on the Earth. It's almost black overhead, not pitch black, but it's real close to being black because we're only 3% of the molecules are above us.
The airplane really gets hot when you're flying at Mach 3, and it really gets hot if you're flying low. But when you're flying at Mach 3, it really gets hot. The temperature around the cockpit is around 550 degrees Fahrenheit.
The airplane was most economical fuel-wise near 80,000 feet in Mach 3.2.
Empty weight, the airplane weighed 60,000 pounds, but it carried 80,000 pounds of gas.
Right.
Lockheed did a great job of building a miraculous airplane that it was almost beyond the imagination of being able to bring together all the necessary ideas and tools and techniques to make this thing work.
And with all that simulator training, we developed the confidence that we could handle anything that could possibly go wrong. And so with that confidence, it made the airplane really a joy to fly.
I always felt that the first flight, same way. In fact, the first flight was boring because nothing happened.
You guys are going to set a record from New York to London, and that's the first we heard about it. I mean, we were going to be the crew. So anyway, it basically was the same kind of a flight we flew every day. When you fly Mach 3, you have to be careful where you go because sonic booms upset minks. And, and so keep in mind, it took 1,000 or more people to make that happen.
And
And we flew it 1 hour and 54 minutes and 56 seconds, I believe. September 1st, 1984,
74.
74.
you know, I may have been on the tip of the spear here. I may have been the one that got the press, but the humbleness and that I have captured is overwhelming.
George Morgan, my RSO, and I had the opportunity of setting the world absolute speed record. And so that was 2,193 miles per hour.
And in a lot of ways, it was a typical mission, except that we were given permission to fly at Mach 3.3. Normally, we weren't allowed to fly faster than 3.2. But any of the crew members had the skill set to fly that mission. And the airplanes that he built in the early 60s, they still hold the records. All those records still hold. Yeah. It's really amazing.
We flew an airplane that was way ahead of its time. Pretty fabulous.
But one pretty cool thing that happened on one of my missions up along the northern border of Russia. We had a lot of missions along the northern border of Russia, keeping a watch on their submarines and the nuclear missiles that are being loaded on them. And so in less than an hour's time, I'd seen 3 sunsets and 3 sunrises. And so that was pretty neat.
Being in the cockpit of an SR-71.
What amazes me is that 55 years later, anybody cares.
I'm more concerned about living today and maybe living tomorrow. God allowed me to do what I did. And depending how you feel about all that, but I truly believe that God allowed me to do what I did. And I'm just looking forward to what God's going to have for me tomorrow.
I've got a lot more to go, and hopefully you guys had a little fun with us today as well.
Born in New York City, LaGuardia Airport was a mile away. Every Saturday we take our bikes and sit under the parkway at runway 04, and we could touch the wheels. I knew then that I wanted to be a pilot, and that's just it. Can I say a bad word? I almost peed my pants. I mean, I walked in and I went, he said, talk to the lucky guys, go sit in the cockpit. He says, no, we've done a little research on you and we want you to apply. And I went, I'm just an average person. He says, no, we want you. We don't need test pilots.
The dream of someday flying a fighter type airplane didn't leave me. My last flight in the Air Force was taking a U-2 in the trainer, because I was never qualified in the U-2, to 70,000 feet and saying, Air Force, thank you very much for an absolutely wonderful career.
I flunked the eye test to be a pilot, which absolutely crushed me. That's the only flight I've ever made where I disabled the ejection seat, because there's no way that I would eject in that godforsaken place. I saw the SR-71 when it was first on display in 1966 at Carswell Air Force Base when I was a brand new second lieutenant going to graduate school. And
Working on the ice?
I couldn't, and I couldn't believe what I saw. And if you're going 2,000 miles an hour, it doesn't take much to go a half a mile. In 1 second, you go 10 football fields. That's fast. And I had to divert into Norway. It was the first time that the airplane had ever landed in continental Europe. Not that that's a big deal, but it was so unique at the time, because it was the first, that that message and that spy plane
Reconnaissance.
was plastered all over the papers, and we got calls.
Front page news.
So I came in and I said, "This is Air Force Tactical," and gave them all the stuff that we needed. I need a straight in to this runway And so they said, you're cleared, but say your type of aircraft. And I said, well, Air Force Tactical. And they said, say your aircraft, because they'd never heard of Air Force Tactical. Sir, you might look out your window and see what's landing on your base. SR-71 coming in. And so the general thinks immediately, oh my gosh, this is Francis Gary Powers all over again.
I thought I'm home. I'm successfully home for my first tour in Okinawa. I'm home for 19 hours. 4 o'clock in the morning, I get a call, pack your bags.
Unfortunately, BC was there when Mount St. Helens blew up, so he was in
stuck.
ash.
Oh,
There's a picture of the SR-71 completely enclosed with plastic because there was material in the ash that would react with.
I flew one mission. I saw 4 sunsets and 3 sunrises in the west. Now the shuttle is posigrade. You're not going to see a sunrise in the west, and it happened totally by accident.
I've never been scared in any airplane, or especially the SR-71, but I've been very concerned.
I got that. Have you ever flown the bird where you didn't learn something new?
No.
Every mission, there's something, there was something that, oh, I got to remember this. I got to remember this.
Right.
There's always something new.
I like to say that the pilot, my job is to do this, fly the airplane nice and steady and know where I'm going and when I'm going to turn and how much bank and all that. The guy in the back talks on the radio, runs a checklist, makes any reports, operates the cameras, operates the defensive systems, and then has to sword fight with the pilot. and Jerry was right about flying. I'm not going to say it's easy to fly the airplane, but it's fine to fly the airplane. Okay. But your biggest thing is the management. That's the real key. Is given that you can fly the airplane, managing all of that with the scenarios, with where you are and where the good guys are and the bad guys and where you can land and where you can't land.
But who's the last person? The conductor. And in my view, the RSO is the conductor. I'm the first violinist. The RSO is managing. He's directing. He's making sure. You don't want to both make the same mistake at the same time.
Well, because things can happen so fast, and you've got to instinctively, the two of you, you're that fine orchestra. You're on the same beat.
We're going to talk to the maintenance teams and some more of the technical side of the SR-71 and what made it so successful.
I ended up at Beale, and coming through the gate, you could look over to see the airplanes when the hangar doors were open. And you go, that airplane's quite big. And everybody gets fascinated on, wow, it's dynamic. And I'm going, I got to work on this. This is a lot of work. I'm looking at it, this perspective of fixing it, changing tires, putting fuel in it. And it was the best job I had. Major projects came up, so I extended, and I was there for 5 years for each of these projects. Mm-hmm. And they weren't small projects; they were huge. Runway closure, building a test cell, stuff that was not normal for just a regular maintenance person. We took care of everything, and we'd go around the runway to the commander's office if we really needed something.
Back in the day, like you just were talking about as we got started, that most of this stuff you had to keep deep inside of you, and that's where it stayed.
I'm just an old country boy from southern Indiana, nobody really special. And to let the public know you can join the Air Force and do amazing things and enjoy your job. I'd been in the Air Force. You'd think it'd be well publicized. I went home that night, told my wonderful high school sweetheart wife that, honey, I'm in love with another lady, and you're going to have to share me for the rest of my career, and hopefully post-career. I helped with the shutdown of the program in 1990. Had to declassify the aircraft. We had various displays in the aircraft and antennas throughout the aircraft that we had to remove.
You know, like we did El Dorado Canyon, which is bombing up Libya. Reagan had said, hey, Gaddafi, be quiet. And what we had to do is fly through the strait and come out.
I want everybody to understand the purpose behind the Blackbird was to get its sensors, electronic intelligence, signal intelligence, cameras, radar, to a place to be used and get that information home. And to give you an idea of the trust that was involved in this, the pilots did not pre-flight the airplanes. Correct. They went straight to the cockpit because of the confidence that they had that if Robbie remembers, Seam said the airplane is ready to go.
No, it really is. And to prove how it was, we were at one location having dinner. We had 12 people on the table. He was over with some friends of his. We sent him the bill.
That's you see, now that's friendship.
And what was really special, the guy that was with me was another Blackbird fanatic. And so I took him over to the table and introduced him, and he could have died right then. So think about this, your oven at home gets to 550 on broil, right? Okay, so you still have another 250 degrees to go before you get to the cooling air that was available to the engine back there.
We fill it all the way up to 80,000 pounds. Then we drain it down to 65,000. And then he can go from ground to Mach 3.
The materials problem, it was a real issue. You know, aluminum that's used on aircraft that we're all familiar with is good to about 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Because that's about Mach 2.4 to 2.5.
Knowledge is
Francis-
power.
The other thing from a technical perspective, and I think I have the answer to this, but why the plane is black?
Remember, paint is weight.
Okay.
So to put paint on an airplane, it has to earn its way on.
So it kind of works backwards from
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, you want to radiate that heat away. The amount of thermal energy that thing put out was absolutely incredible.
Well, the first time I saw the Blackbird, like I said, my jaw hit the floor, and it reminded me of a black stallion that could not be tamed, and they did their best to tame this aircraft, but it's sitting there, it's just wants to run as fast as it can in freedom and go, and it's a beautiful thing to see a black stallion run.
There's nothing normal about it, but to them it was normal.
I was most proud of being part of a program that helped prevent wars. We were there to keep the bad guys honest and bring the information not only to America, but share them with our allies to have a peaceful world by being able to provide the information, photographs, ELINT, whatever was available.
You know, when we flew, they know we flew, and they knew what we could see, and it would make them say, not today. Not today.
We're going to hear about the planners and the management that went on behind the scenes long before the pilots ever got in the cockpit.
This is SAC headquarters. I'm off it, and I get called up to a major's office, and I go into a room, and there's names all around the room, and they're doing assignments. And the great deal for me was a choice between 2 missile wings and a bomb wing. So that placed me in the Pentagon on 9/11. And I say, it looks like there's smoke rising from the old executive office building. Well, that was us.
My first real passion, if you will, or awareness of flying was, playing in the backyard, and Eastern Airlines with the little blue and light blue stripe. So he would go down to Tyndall every Friday and fly T-33s as a target drone for the 104s and the 105s, or the 105s and 106s to shoot at and stuff. If I tell you to bail out, you're only going to hear it once. I see an article in the Air Force Times newspaper saying, do you want to be a U-2 pilot? I had no idea what that was. I quick looked up U-2 and said, yeah, it might be interesting. Airplane was a beautiful airplane to fly, except for the last 10 feet, because it was a powered glider. I very, very lucky to fly the U-2 for 3 years. At that point, two of the SR guys were out jogging one day in Yuba City, Maury Rosenberg and Jack Veth. And some Yahoo came off the road in a pickup truck and hit them both. And they told Maury Rosenberg this story, and I thought he was going to die laughing. I flunked retirement 2 or 3 times.
I said, I'd love to fly your jet. And he was, Lieutenant, go get some time and then we'll consider that option. And he said, go get some high performance and all that good stuff. I was the first navigator, I think, to be a commander of a SAC unit, and it worked out nice.
2 West German F-104s blowing down the beach in East Germany, just blowing umbrellas and lawn chairs everywhere in East Germany, in the wrong country.
The beauty of the program is, as he mentioned earlier about PARPRO, it was a peacetime aerial reconnaissance program.
Hey, I've got active tracking on the SA-5. I said, okay, well, don't jam, because we're doing everything we can really do to defeat an intercept, because it's an oblique shot. We're already doing 3.2. There's no way he's going to turn with us. And Tom is in the back busy eating pudding or something, and kind of mouth half full goes, hey, look out the left window. And there's a Mirage 3 sitting on our wing.
And it was just one big happy family, and because of that, and it was a very small fraternity of lucky guys that got to fly it.
And I'm sitting back here going, Jesus, they're all talking to the colonel this way. But everybody took the rank off when we started talking about the mission. And it was, well, how do we get it done?
This airplane, somebody wants you to do something and they want it. It's you go out and do what you're trained to do, and it's delivered at pretty high levels.
The thing that stands out to me is the program not only kept the Cold War cold, it allowed us to know what was going on the other side so we wouldn't make mistakes.
We were there as a monitor to make sure they didn't change or do anything that we weren't expecting, or sometimes it was just for a political purpose, because we leave a pretty good boom as we go over. As a political thing, we're watching, we're still here.
And you get used to the go fast. I mean, they said, boy, you feel that speed? No, you really don't. Takeoff, you do.
I bet.
Takeoff, you're a passenger and trying to keep it, down the middle till it's time to pull back.
We used to get a lot of people at Milton Hall lined up along the fence line to watch us take off.
And we took off either on time or 50 cars lined up. That was our criteria. We wouldn't talk to departure. We wouldn't talk to anybody until descending through 60,000 coming back in. But I remember one day I finished and I kind of went out, and then one of the Norwegian F-16s went into the slot like he was going to get fuel. The boom operator wagged the boom left and right and stowed it. I found it just the most fun thing in the world. I thoroughly enjoyed. I thought refueling was one of the nice part of the job.
We're kind of at almost the conclusion of the SR-71 symposium here at the Strategic Air Command Aerospace Museum, and it's been just an absolute wonderful adventure for us here at the Old Fly Guy Network. And I'm telling you, the real success story here is with Amy Johns, and I wanted Amy to kind of spend a few moments with us. I know we've kept her up all night for the last 3 days, 2 weeks in advance, I'm sure. But your team has made this an absolute success, and this is from not an SR pilot's perspective, but watching it from the outside and seeing it all come together. So, Amy, what are some thoughts about how you thought the whole event went, and what you're going to do tonight when you get home?
Oh, goodness. Well, thank you. It's been an amazing opportunity for us to host these guys. This aircraft is so incredibly special to us as it greets our visitors, when they walk in the door. And so to have the pilots here And the crew here, because they all play such a critical role, you know, in the success of this aircraft. It's really about the people. The aircraft is amazing, but it's really nothing without the people. And their bravery and their dedication and their intelligence blows me away. But even more so, their kindness and their humbleness, and just how they work so well together as a team. In dangerous situations. And so, you know, for us to be able to host them means the absolute world. I've been an SR-71 fan since college, and so to get to know these guys over the years has been an honor and a privilege. And so them being here all weekend, I mean, they've inspired so many people that it gives me goosebumps to see those interactions that they had with kids. You know, I always say if kids don't know about things, they can't dream about it, right? So I can't even imagine how many future pilots are going to come out of this, because you know, and backseaters and all the things. It's incredible.
We speak it like we know what we're talking about, backseaters and pilots. Isn't
Right?
it something, you know, we could pretend a little bit. I heard that come out very fluidly, by the way.
Absolutely.
So, and I couldn't, you stole my words when I thought about how sincere these folks were. And the pictures and the still pictures just don't do them justice when it comes to what they put out there and how humble they are about their experiences. It is a goosebump operation, and
really
something that will stick with me. I know I come away better informed about how to handle some things probably, and the joy of what they bring, and just like all the events that went on here. When I first came, I was thinking, okay, 3 days, what are we going to do in 3 days? It's, you know, it's kind of a lot of time. And
true.
I haven't sit still, almost not as much. I know you haven't sit still, but
And
I
we're
have
not
kept
done
going.
yet.
Yeah, and you're
We're
not
not done yet.
You're not done yet. We got a closing dinner tonight,
We
which
do.
is going to be wonderful.
Yeah.
And I know your museum here sponsors a number of things, and all the guests you had. We had a wonderful. I'm not sure if you call it it was a celebration last night, and where we had music and dining and just some great words from some real leaders in your community, as well as some of the SR-71 pilots. So I don't know how you set the bar extremely high for not only this event, but future events. And like you said, it just keeps going. So
It really does. At this point, I think it feels surreal, because when you've been planning something for a year and a half, and then it finally arrives, and then it exceeds your expectations.
Right.
You know, for me, really, last night's event was amazing because of the looks on their faces. I could tell they were having an amazing time, and they were blown away. And for me, the looks on their faces was all I ever needed. It was incredible to see how we made them feel special. They're so humble that they don't take credit for anything, but I think that they felt honored and they felt special, and they should, because that was, you know, it was an SR-71 tribute, and that's, you know,
it's just, I can't. You've said it 3 times. I said it 3 times. The way they're so humble and stuff. It's just over the top.
It really is. They're a special group of.
And for us to make it happen, and of course those watching this right now won't appreciate. We'll make sure we'll put the picture in there. But just when we got all those guys together after all that, you got them all cornered. We got them in a picture there, and you look and you know, if you walked in, you say, those look like a normal group of people, you know, and how they did all these amazing things. So
extraordinary people.
Extraordinary. So
yeah.
I do feel I come away a little bit different in some thoughts, and I know your team, while they did everything they could to make it wonderful, I do, as you said, believe that they come away with some positive thoughts too in the whole thing.
100%. Every time I get the opportunity to spend time with them, and I'm lucky because I get to spend the time. We've got one retired here, Charlie Dobbs, and so I'm beyond blessed because Charlie and I talk almost every single week, sometimes multiple times a week, and I feel like I'm the luckiest person ever because he has taught me so much. He shared so many stories, and for that I will I will forever be grateful, because you always come away better when you spend time with these guys and gals. So they're amazing.
It was just amazing stuff. So once again, hats off to you and your team for
Thank you.
pulling a wonderful event together.
Thank you.
I truly feel like kind of the outsider, but they surely sucked me in pretty close.
Absolutely.
And I walk away knowing that I think I got 27 or 28 new friends, in addition to your staff. We're going to come back here
Yes.
again
Absolutely.
and see something. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks again. And I hope you get a break at some point before this is all over.
Oh, I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't change a thing. I would do it all over again next week if I had the opportunity.
Oh, that's great.
So,
Well, thanks again, and
Yeah,
thanks
thank
for
you.
keeping track of us out there on the network. We're going to get a lot of this put together, look for the content. We're going to share some of the celebrations that went on last night, as well as some wonderful content with the different pilots and maintenance teams and all across the board. So we are enriched, I know, by the experience, and I hope that you come away after watching some of this being as enriched as we are. So thanks for following us, and we'll see you later. Well, I hope you enjoyed those highlight reels as much as I did, and I hope it gives you a sampling of what we talked about in the full-length episodes. And once again, if you haven't seen the full-length episode, please fall back and give it a look. I know you'll enjoy it and learn a lot more. It was a great experience to meet all these different team members, some which were on camera and some which were not, but in all cases, it was a great opportunity. I also want to take one more chance to a big shout out to Amy John and Mackenzie Cartwright and the entire Strategic Air Command and Aerospace Museum team for making the program such a success. It would have never happened without their help. I also hope, and I think we're going to get a chance to deliver some more SR-71 content here in the future. And I look forward to sharing that with you as well, because I think there's a lot more to be talked about with the people in the program and the personalities in the SR-71 program. So one other thing that I took away, I wanted to share with you, is that while there's probably a lot of reasons the program was successful, the thing I took away, what it was all about, teamwork and trust. Every conversation, I felt the same way. There was a common strand of the teamwork and trust that each member had for the other person, and that's really what made it so successful, in my opinion. So I learned a lot from it, and I'm sure as you watch this, you took away some of the same feelings as I did. So thanks again for watching. Hope you will take a chance to subscribe, like what you're seeing. We look forward to doing more, and I hope we're going to be able to bring you some more SR-71 content. But in the meantime, as always, watch out for that turbulence, look for those blue skies, and we look forward to the next Old Fly Guy conversation with you.